Donald Trump has been elected to return to the Oval Office as the 47th President of the United States. Now, Trump's stunning comeback comes after he swept most of the swing states that Kamala Harris would have needed to have any path to the White House. Our Washington Bureau Chief, Jackson Proskow, joins us now with the very latest. All right, Jackson, the polls predicted a razor-tight race that would likely take at least a day or two to call. Walk us through Trump's stunning victory here.
Yeah, Miranda, what happened essentially was that Trump swept those swing states. A few of them are still waiting to be called, but he picked up enough of this to make a determination in the early morning hours here today. And, if 2016 felt like an accident, this definitely feels like a complete realignment of American politics because of the speed of the victory, the decisiveness of the victory, and the fact that Trump is completely a known quantity, and that's exactly what Americans voted for here. Trump essentially built a multiracial coalition. He made inroads with Latinos, for example, despite a history of racist comments about that community. He grew his standing with men. He didn't really lose that much ground with women. In fact, he may have gained some ground by the time this is all said and done and counted. And he improved his share of the popular vote, even improving Republican standings in reliably Democratic places like Virginia and New York. And so all of this signals that voters were very much excited to turn the page on the Joe Biden era. The economy, time and time again, was the issue that they kept going back to. And it sort of became an issue, it seems, of no matter how you felt about Donald Trump, you felt worse about the state of the economy. And when I talk about the economy, I'm talking specifically about consumer prices. And there's this real feeling, this real sentiment that prices have gotten out of hand, and that Biden, and by extension Kamala Harris, had done nothing to address it and may have allowed that to actually exist in the first place, even though we know that inflation was a worldwide problem. So what Americans were feeling at home simply wasn't being addressed by Democrats, but that's something that Donald Trump seems to have tapped into here.
All right, and Jackson, Republicans are also on track to win control of the Senate and possibly the House of Representatives. So what does that mean for Trump's agenda?
It means smooth sailing. It effectively means he has unchecked power here because, remember, he already appointed 3 Supreme Court justices during his first term, so he's got a conservative majority there. If he ultimately ends up controlling the House as well as the Senate, that means the Speaker will be a Republican, and it looks like he will have a comfortable Republican majority in the Senate, which means that even if 1 or 2 Republican senators may object to what he's trying to do or may object to, say, a political appointment or a cabinet appointment or a future Supreme Court appointment, he doesn't need them because he has the majority on his side. And I think Republicans walking in the doors of the Capitol building once Trump is sworn in will say, look, Trump was just given a historic mandate here by the American people. Why would we possibly go against that? So, it is definitely Donald Trump's world. And it is, as I said earlier, a massive realignment of American politics.
All right. And we have heard from Trump, but when are we expecting to hear from Kamala Harris?
So she canceled her own election night watch party last night and effectively said she wasn't going to come out. She sent her supporters home. Her campaign chair said she will speak to the American people at some time today. We don't have details on that yet. But I can tell you, in the meantime here, while we're waiting, the finger pointing has already started within the Democratic Party. Some saying that, Harris was not given enough time to run a successful campaign because Joe Biden held in there for so long and, had planned to run for a second term despite promising to be a bridge candidate. You've got people saying that Harris wasn't effective enough in messaging her policies or that she messaged too many things or that the Democrats wasted too much time focusing on Donald Trump as, being unfit for office, as opposed to making the case for why the relatively unknown Kamala Harris is fit for office. What is definitely standing out here, though, is that at the end of the day, Joe Biden promised to be a bridge candidate to a future for American democracy, a future for the Democratic Party. And in the end, he may well have handed the keys of American democracy right over to Donald Trump by deciding to run for a second term.
All right, Washington Bureau Chief Jackson Proskow joining us from Washington. Thanks, Jackson.